This is the world's most famous car brand. Yes, when we mention Ferrari, we're referring to a name that stands out on racetracks, in magazines, and in every car enthusiast conversation. A brand representing prestige and competition, beloved by global enthusiasts, with perhaps the richest automotive history and heritage. This brand, known for the world's most desirable sports cars, still keeps some secrets. At the base of the prancing horse pyramid are the entry-level models, if you can call them that. The Roma and 296 Gran Turismo Berlinetta are Ferraris you might see on the street in certain neighborhoods. Above that are the Stallions, the F8 Tributo, 812 Superfast, machines of pure power and refinement. Then come the special series like an 812 Competizione, designed to reward the most loyal customers and challenge them with more radical cars. It goes further. At the next level, you reach the Icona series, such as the Monza Sport Prototipo and Daytona Sport Prototipo 3. As soon as they're released, these become instant museum pieces, blending Ferrari's historic style with modern reinvention. At the top, we have the hypercars, from the F40 that defined a generation to the F80, which I mentioned in another video. Today, we're climbing to a hidden level, a circle not shown in brochures or auto shows. A secret world where limited editions or 500-unit productions aren't discussed. But a department where each car is custom built for one client, becoming a collector's item. I explained it to you in this video. At Ferrari, you don't get in with just a checkbook. At this ultimate customization level, there's no online configurator or dealership appointment. Access works quietly, like an initiation. The brand seeks you out, not the other way around. Ferrari calls these special projects the highest tier in the prancing horse hierarchy. Rarer than hypercars and even less accessible than the Icona, these are a little-known part of Ferrari's history. So how does it work? How does a simple childhood memory or a classic Ferrari inspire the creation of a unique, certified, road-ready car? We'll find out in this video as I show you some unique models. And you'll see that as the years go by, these special projects become even more interesting. Before I discuss the different models, I researched how things actually work. When we mention one-offs, we mean unique Ferrari projects. You have to understand that we're not talking about high-end tuning, nor about customizing colors or leather. We're in a different league, where every project begins with a simple rule. Even with a unique model, it must remain a Ferrari. The process is exact to the millimeter. It all begins by choosing a technical base, an 812, an F8 Tributo, or sometimes a more advanced version you may need to order. Because keeping the approved platform lets Ferrari avoid starting from scratch. On safety, crash tests, airbags, headlights, the windshield, in short, everything that costs a fortune to develop. As a customer, you're not getting a new architecture, just a new look for an already proven Ferrari. After selecting the base, the client gives the initial brief, sharing his wishes, which can be anything. Is it a tribute to a classic Ferrari, a favorite design detail, or just the overall vibe? But don't dream, you're not going to scribble the car yourself on a napkin. Ferrari Centro Style, the in-house design studio, transforms your ideas into designs, starting with sketches, then digital renderings. If everyone agrees with the direction, they proceed to the full-size clay model, refining every volume to the millimeter. That's where your unique Ferrari takes shape. There's a creative exchange between the client and designers, but Ferrari always makes the final decision. Even a chosen millionaire's ego can't overshadow the prancing horse. After finalizing the design, engineers take over. The new surfaces are industrialized as if it were a production Ferrari. Strength calculations, aerodynamic simulations, sometimes even wind tunnel sessions. On homologated and road models, the goal is to integrate a new design without touching the safety framework. But with radical projects like the KC23, which we'll explore, Ferrari embraces some craziness. Motorized air intakes, shapes impossible to homologate but tolerated because the car is reserved for the track. The entire process takes at least 2 years from concept to delivery. 2 years of the client approving every step and milestone but never making decisions alone. Ferrari calls its clients imaginative, passionate and demanding, but always states these cars are designed and signed by Maranello. Actually, the birth of this program is due to a particular case. James Glickenhaus's 2006 Ferrari 4.5, built by Pininfarina on the Ferrari Enzo, honors the 1960s prototype. Magnificent and iconic, but technically not an official Ferrari project. And so, after discovering this adventure, the brand structured its official one-off program in order to keep control over its heritage. Does the client actually design their own Ferrari? No, they just provide direction, inspiration, and approval. Ultimately, Maranello holds the pencil because a Ferrari can't simply answer a whim. Every line must reflect the brand's DNA, which is exciting because you can see it in every car made by the Special Project program. You can see it in the first project, the Sport Prototipo 1 from 2008, based on the F430. The Sport Prototipo 1 is the first special project, as its name implies. It was created for prominent Japanese collector Junichiro Hiramatsu and maintains the F430's design while adding complexity. It's a reimagined bodywork that remains instantly recognizable, like a Ferrari. Symbolically, it establishes the program's golden rule: a proven technical base and a unique body that must always show the brand's DNA on the car. The second official one-off, the P540 Superfast Aperta, is based on the 599 Gran Turismo Berlinetta Fiorano. Commissioned by Edward Walson, it honors a Ferrari he saw in the 1968 film Toby Dammit. The approach is a barchetta with a slightly softer face, reflecting Ferrari's grand touring tradition, reinterpreted with a modern execution. With this P540, the Special Projects Department shows that it is also there to tell a client's personal story with the brand using a consistent Ferrari vocabulary. To mark 45 years of loyalty to the prancing horse, collector Peter Calico rewards himself with the Super America 45, reviving the Super America 45 name. And the spirit of 50s or 60s V12 coupe convertibles like the 400. Based on the 599 Gran Turismo Berlinetta, it features a removable carbon roof stored in a redesigned trunk. The Super America 45 gets its name from its blue Antilli color, which matches the 1961 400 Super America. And now we're going to get into a series of special projects increasingly modified by Ferrari. We're discussing the most famous one-off for star clients, Eric Clapton's Sport Prototipo, 12 Eric Clapton. The singer wanted a modern Ferrari, inspired by his favorite 512 Berlinetta Boxer, of which he owned 3. Ferrari and Pininfarina reimagined the design using the 458 Italia as a base. In terms of DNA, the Sport Prototipo 12 manages to capture this 1970s icon with its pure surfaces, the black stripe along the entire lower part, and an instantly recognizable front. Ferrari, even though it differs quite a bit from the original 458, the Sport Prototipo 30 Aria is a unique project for Indian client Mr. Aria, built on the 599 Gran Turismo Omologato's technical platform, with a completely new body which stands out thanks to its graphic additions. It's styled like 2012 Ferraris and resembles an F12 more than a 599, but it still captures the spirit. The client wanted a sharp V12 in an exclusive body and achieved it. The Sport Prototipo FXX is a stunning update of the FF. This special project abandons the original shooting brake look of the four-seater Ferrari in favor of a more streamlined coupe. With a two-tone white design inspired by F1's golden era, this project delivers a clear message. A client may choose to completely change the car type by switching from a shooting brake to a coupe, but keeping the four-wheel drive unique to the FF. Even though it keeps the original headlights, the Sport Prototipo FXX gets major work done on the roofline. Rear volume looks smaller due to redesigned fenders. Also, there are those particular front and rear bumpers, which I find a bit aggressive. In 2014, the F12 TRS and Extreme Barchetta debuted at the Ferrari Cavalcade event. In Sicily, the name TRS comes from the 1957 250 Testarossa said to be its inspiration. The design team made an open body, added a glass hood over the engine, a sculpted rear, and a unique front end. Fans loved its little mustaches, but ultimately the owner's happiness matters most. Another F12 Berlinetta-based project, the Sport Prototipo America, is less known but equally fascinating. It's still an F12 at heart, but it takes the bodywork a bit further. With its hood featuring 3 openings, which is a nod to the 250 Gran Turismo Racing, it's a visually denser version of the F12 without going overboard. In 2016, the Famissa expanded with the 458 Mille Miglia Speciale, which is essentially a 458 Special underneath. But the designers redesigned it for a British client who wanted a unique look, like a fighter jet canopy, with the pillars painted black to give the impression that the glass runs in a single line. Other small changes include tweaks to the sharp nose and a simpler rear, now lacking the large horizontal black strip. That year also brought one of my favorites, the Sport Prototipo 275 RW, a base from the F12 Tour de France inspired by 1960s Gran Turismo aesthetics, specifically the iconic 275 Gran Turismo BC, but it updates it with a series of very sharp lines, side vents like back in the day, and even a triple blade on the C-pillar. Add to that the 3-layer yellow paint reminiscent of the Francorchamps team from 1965. And it's the perfect example of a Ferrari rebodied in the special project style. The exterior evolves with heritage influences, but we retain modern engineering and current V12 Gran Turismo ergonomics. The latest special project of this year, 2018, it's not a one-off in the strict sense, but it's crucial to understand the flexibility of the program. This is the Ferrari J50 Barchetta, based on the 488 Spider designed by the Centro style 10 years ago, and its design is still relevant today. Unlike the others, only 10 units were produced. To mark Ferrari's 50th anniversary in Japan, the J50 blends Barchetta elements with modern Ferrari design. It proves Maranello can create micro-series, not just one-offs, with the same safety and homologation standards, but tailored for specific events, countries, or client groups. Another example of simplicity and style, which still works years after the Sport Prototipo 38, a track project unveiled and delivered at the Fiorano circuit. Underneath, it's a 488 Gran Turismo Berlinetta, but outwardly, it's a real reinterpretation inspired by the F40 and to some extent the 308 Hewitts. Featuring sleeker headlights, DRLs in the bumper, a new hood, and a contoured rear. Me too, this is one of my favorites. A true balance of subtle historical influence and aerodynamic purity that spans eras. Next was the Sport Prototipo 3JC, an open-top roadster built for a collector seeking driving enjoyment. Wine blows hair on an F12 Tour de France base, resulting in playful livery. Azzurro Met and Giallo Modena over Bianco with stylish details. Glass hood clamp reveals the 780 HP V12 flying bridge. Between the carbon roll bars, the rear fins give the silhouette a more horizontal look. Plus, a small brown brushed aluminum gas cap, created after over 2 years of collaboration between Ferrari and the client. Now we're going to change the mood a bit and move on to a pure endurance prototype. The P80C, based on the 488 Gran Turismo, reclaims its place in the sports prototype lineage, like the 330 P34 or the Dyno 206S, but with the aerodynamic precision of a modern Gran Turismo 3. Sculpted surfaces, concave windows, and 4 more years of development, even with complete freedom and no homologation constraints. This enables minimalist lighting and highly functional shapes, showcasing the most radical aspect of special projects. When Ferrari addresses a client who wants a race car, and that's it. In 2020, Ferrari presents the Homologata. You can clearly see a 812 Superfast underneath, but with a new body where all the surfaces have been redesigned except for the windshield and the headlights. Homologata recalls the long hood GTs, featuring smoother sides than the original 812's pronounced shoulders and a striated rear. It's a reworked 812 that captures the Gran Turismo spirit that made Ferrari legendary. The BR20 is based on a Gran Turismo coupe, 4 Lusso and turned into a sleek 2-seat fastback. Here too, it's over. The wagon shape is gone, the roof is low, and the rear pillars are hollowed out. This creates empty and full spaces that lighten the volume, making the rear stretch out, as if the car was pulled by the tail to appear longer. This project also impresses inside with chocolate leather that evokes a high-fashion Gran Tourer feel. Of Ferrari's latest projects, the Sport Prototipo 48 Unica stands out as a leap into the future. It uses the F8 base but gives it a nearly digital look, featuring a fluid design and open work patterns that appear machined from solid material. This theme appears on the front and on the bezel, which fades in a gradient. This extends the surface of the roof and creates a ridge that runs toward the back. This car was a hit when released, as gradient patterns were popular then. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. In 2022, the Sport Prototipo 51 debuted, derived from the 812, fully embracing its spirit as a true roofless roadster. The entire car was tuned to use air as an ally, using simulator studies and the Maranello wind tunnel session. You can see it in the bumper, and in the different aero elements on the side of the car designed to guide the airflow. Its deep red livery was specially formulated. It's a unique paint job, with blue and white stripes referencing 1950s race car livery. Next is the KC23, the second to last unique Ferrari, here and the most futuristic, a race spec 488 that's a decade ahead of its time. The idea was fluidity, and you can see it everywhere. The front and back feature a clean, uncluttered mask. The design is simple yet highly effective. Strangely, it doesn't look very Ferrari. Liquid metal paint is rare for a prancing horse car. And of course, its elytra doors add an almost science fiction dimension, which makes it one of the most unique special projects from the Maranello brand. Ferrari unveiled its latest special project, the Sport Prototipo 8 in 2023. Its design is highly recognizable, since there are 2 intersecting volumes highlighted by its two-tone paint. A deep blue, slightly iridescent, contrasts with sharp silver and large exposed carbon fiber following the lines of force. The Sport Prototipo 8 was created from a simple wish, a pure roofless roadster based on a mid-engine Berlinetta. Without the rigid, retractable roof, the rear is freed, the engine cover flattens, the lines open up, and the back can be fully redesigned. At the front, a full-width grille with vertical slats cast in aluminum forms a single, almost architectural band. Aroma-inspired rear lights are refined to keep the design's clean lines. The 5-spoke directional wheels complete the dynamic look we need. Everything feels handcrafted yet has industrial precision. We haven't had one since that one, but if I had to make my own, I'd probably start with a Dodici Cylindri as a base, since that's the one in the current lineup. I love its proportions, with the long hood and compact rear. With a bigger budget, I'd make the sides more dynamic, adding a height-wise cut and a large rocker to let in more light. I'd try to make it look longer by lowering the roofline, but that's not happening. Up front, I'd skip the big black strip to return to round or almond-shaped headlights, like the classic Ferraris that inspired my childhood dreams. Anyway, for now it's just in the back of my mind, but it's far from being a real project, it's just nice to dream. I won't go any further, otherwise the video will be too long. To watch live design from start to finish, join me on Twitch every Wednesday at 8 post meridium. Find the link in the description. Now you know more about all these unique Ferrari projects that we rarely see, and I'm curious to know which one is your favorite. So let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, you'll like that one too. Join me live to talk cars every Wednesday at 8 post-meridian on Twitch.